Here are my college football playoff rankings. I mean, you look at it; it's been an eventful weekend. We saw the likes of Ohio State lose. We saw Miami lose. We saw um, Texas A&M lose. We saw a lot of teams lose this weekend. And I we this top 20, or I'm gonna do my top 16 because I could care less about anything other than 16. But starting with Oregon, Oregon's the best team in the country, and that's no debate. Do that mean I'm gonna have them winning the winning it all? I won't go that far. I'm gonna have five teams, and I'll say at the end who my five teams are that I have winning. Um, Texas is one of the most consistent teams in the country. Notre Dame, same with them. I think Notre Dame has to jump Penn State at this point because Notre Dame has showed nothing but dominance since losing week 2 to NIU or whoever they lost to. Since they lost to that team, they have been the most dominant team in college football. And I think you look at this Notre Dame team, they are going to shock the world. They're one of my dark horse picks to win it all. Penn State to me aren't the best team, and they aren't great. Penn State aren't great, but they now have a spot in the Big 12 championship or Big 10 championship game. Do I think they will beat Oregon? Absolutely not. I think they'll get dragged by Oregon, but that's not here nor there. Georgia, they got a 8 overtime win against Georgia Tech. Granted, I think Georgia Tech are better than people want them, better than people think they are. It's a rivalry. All the games this weekend they're rivalries, so you can't really rip teams apart for losing to their rivals. It just is what it is. Tennessee, they knocked off Vanderbilt this weekend. They have that sixth spot in my opinion. Ohio State with losing to Michigan at home. That was a rough way to lose. Not a rough way to lose, but that's a rough loss for Ohio State. I don't think they deserve to get kicked out of the college football playoffs because of that loss. But I think falling a couple spots, anywhere from that 7 to 9 spot, is definitely respectable. SMU being the leaders of their conference, I think they definitely sit there at that number 8 spot, even potentially even that number 7 spot. I think when you look at Ohio State and Indiana, Ohio State beat Indiana, so I don't think they will fall below Indiana. I think Indiana has a sure spot inside the college football playoffs. I think you look at teams like Indiana. If Boise State beats UNLV, then they will be guaranteed in the spot of the playoffs. I think Arizona State has a guaranteed spot. If they win their conference, I think Tennessee's guaranteed. Georgia's guaranteed. Notre Dame are guaranteed. Ohio State are guaranteed. And I think SMU will beat Clemson, so I think they're guaranteed as well. Indiana sit at that number 9 spot. They're going to shock some people. I know they got beat by Ohio State, but they aren't a bad football team whatsoever, and I think people need to start respecting that. Last week, the college football polling had Arizona State at 16, which to me, leading their conference and being 16 does not make logical sense. I think they have to be in the top 12, and with Clemson losing to the South Carolina Gamecocks, I think they jump into that top 11. Miami got that loss this weekend. I think they are out of the college football playoffs. And I think they sit anywhere from actually this list. I don't love this list, but I will put Miami at 16. Because I think losing to Syracuse, losing to Georgia Tech, that's not a good way to look, especially when you don't play a very hard conference schedule. They don't play very hard teams. And so, that 2 losses to unranked teams is not good enough for them. South Carolina Gamecocks, they beat Clemson on the road. They've had 4 or 6 ranked wins this season. They've lost to 3. All 3 of their losses come from ranked top 25 teams. And I think if you look at Alabama, people are like, oh, but Alabama beat someone head-to-head. Alabama have lost. They got smoked by Oklahoma. And Oklahoma are historically bad with Alabama scored 0 touchdowns. They lost to Vanderbilt when they were unranked at the time. I don't think Vanderbilt should Alabama should be in front of South Carolina personally. Ole Miss, sure. I mean, they got some unranked losses as well. Iowa State, they are number 2 inside the Big 10. I think they sit there at that 15 spot. UNLV, they sit there at 16, challenging Boise State in their conference championship game. What do y'all think about my rankings? My 5 teams who I think can make it all, who can win it all, is Oregon, Texas, Notre Dame, Georgia, and Ohio State. Those are the 5 teams I think could win it all. Let me know what y'all think about my playoff rankings. It's gonna be a great playoffs. Can't come faster for us to see what the committee does. But it's going to be a good one. It's going to be good regardless of what happens. As long as they don't have Alabama getting in, I'm more than happy. So let me know what y'all think about my playoff rankings. Yeah.